control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. The claws in my heart, I can't let go, I'm breaking apart, controlling me, controlling me.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Wednesday edition of the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I'm absolutely thrilled to see you guys. Hey, everybody. How you guys doing in the chat room? Thank you for being here and being a part of the episode tonight. And, of course, as I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm not alone. I brought a friend. It's Bring Your Friend to Work Day. And I brought my friend, Mr. Longbeard. So. Yeah, your mic's at it again. I'm not going to bring you on camera until you're ready. Don't be shy, Don. Jeez. It's just the portal crowd.
Hi.
Well, now there you are. Let's see. Oh, hey.
Oh, there I is. Hi.
There he is.
Gosh, I'm still not used to the camera being up there. Hi. Wow.
We got it. And yeah, now we're kind of in scale. Before you looked like a giant.
I am a giant.
Yeah, Don, you're a giant of a man.
Giant pain in the butt.
Yeah, well, that could be too. Sometimes, but mostly we love you, so that's good.
Mostly.
Mostly, except when you're a pain in the butt. Anyway, hope you're doing good. How you been?
I'm doing well. You know, kind of sucked last night, you know, because I came home from work, you know, and I get home kind of late. And I know it's starting to, you know, it's starting to snow. And I wake up this morning, probably about 3 o'clock, and I look out my window, and gosh darn it, there's like 10 inches of snow out there.
Oh, God, you got that much?
Yeah, I got a lot. Yeah,
wow.
8 to 10 inches, yeah.
You got way more than we did.
Yeah.
I might have had three inches, maybe.
I think there's like a 7-foot snowman in the backyard now. Got bored.
Well, there you go.
But, you know, this year I might not have to do as much shoveling because that doggone snowblower finally decided to work today.
Yeah, it's in business, yes. And therefore you're in business, which is always a good thing. That's less of your back you have to sacrifice to the snow gods.
No doubt. And I was thinking about last night. Remember I mentioned I hurt my back vacuuming?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how the heck that happens.
Well, you know, it's those unfamiliar exercises, maybe. Your body's not used to a vacuum done.
I know. Huh?
It's a different body mechanic. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure you're a fine, clean person. I'm
a vacuum connoisseur.
Yeah. So, Mr. Longbeard, what you got in your beard there? What's going on? Did you get? Is that
I finally got my birthday present.
Woo!
A friend of mine bought me some dragon beads.
Dragon beads. So he is now truly Merlin.
I've got a full set of runes too. So
Merlin was the friend to the dragons.
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Oh, I forgot about that, and I forgot I
Right.
told you guys about my dream.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember.
I'm just thinking you should finally tap into those powers and let's get going here.
Yeah, no doubt. The snap of the fingers.
Whip up some cash, will you?
Gosh, how about just some real awesome subscribers like the people in the chat room?
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be wonderful too. And God bless you all for being here and being a part of the portal. We sure as hell have a lot of fun doing it.
That's true.
And it makes it a lot more fun that you guys are here with us and a part of it, because if we were just doing this for ourselves, that'd be weird.
It's Brenda every now and then says, sometimes it's like, I know everybody in the chat room's there and they're enjoying the show and they're talking, but sometimes it's weird because I'm just talking to myself, when I'm not here, obviously.
Well,
and I can see that being kind of weird.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, if you make a joke when someone's hanging around with you, it's funny and you can laugh at it and you can,
Right.
play off of it and stuff. But when you're making jokes all by yourself, it's just strange.
It's like having an argument with yourself. It's like, what am I doing?
Yeah, I heard a good one today, guy.
Wait until I tell you this one. You'll never guess the punchline.
Exactly. Oh, nice. Who's that? Hey, Renee, how you doing? Good to see you. Ooh, I see what you're doing there, Renee. Yeah, it's possible. We'll talk another time, but we're not going to negotiate on the air. But yeah, I mean, it may be able to happen. But get in touch with me if you would, please. Email me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, and we'll talk more. But anyway, who's saying bye?
Oh, that was Renee.
Oh, Renee's actually leaving?
Oh, I guess so. I don't know what you're referring to when you were talking to him.
This is the Bruins, baby.
Oh.
It's the Boston Bruins.
Gotcha.
No, there's a long story for this. I'm really, I respect sports. I think they're fine, but I'm not a sports guy. I'm really not. But this is actually like the one that he wore in Happy Gilmore.
Oh,
Adam
yeah.
Sandler. Yeah. So
Price
it's
is wrong, bub.
get in your hole. That's your home. But actually, I have this shirt. It's kind of a long story. Has nothing to do with the paranormal, but what had happened was I had an emergency appendectomy, and I mean, like they literally had to split me open, kind of emergency appendectomy, and this was back when we were doing the band and stuff, and we had a gig that weekend, and we were really, really working hard to get gigs. And so the band's like, oh, I suppose we can't do it. And I'm like, well, maybe I could do it. And so but the problem was I couldn't have any fabric that would touch my stomach. It was painful. Everything that touched my incision was horribly painful. So I stood up for 3.5 or 4 hours that night on stage singing and playing guitar. And but this was actually one of my bandmates had this, and he gave it to me to use it, and I just
kind of stayed.
I guess I kind of kept it, but no harm, no foul. I mean, it was. I think he owned it because he liked Happy Gilmore more than he liked the Boston Bruins, to be honest with you. But this is the Neely jersey. I don't know who he is, but apparently he was pretty important, and it's got the Stanley Cup patch over here. Yeah, so whatever. I mean, it's cool. I like it. It's a conversation starter, even though I can't compete in the conversation for very long because I don't know anything about sports. But anyway, back to the portal. We are going to do another show of Paranormal Encounters. You have us for 2 hours, ladies and gentlemen, tonight. So I hope you're all comfy and ready to be entertained. I hope you've got a beverage of choice, whatever that might be. Don, you got your jug of swill?
Of course I do.
Okay, well, good. Then everything is right as it should be in the universe.
So far.
So let's get started then, shall we?
We
shall. I was just busy as hell all day today, so I did manage to figure out a show, though. That was pretty good. So let's get to some of these and just see what we can find. All right, so there's not really a specific topic tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It's just the paranormal. It's a cornucopia of paranormal stuff. And Don, if you want to find stories about cryptids or whatever, I don't really care.
Working on something.
Okay. So The first one I'm going to share with you tonight comes out of the great state of Massachusetts. Just kidding. That's my count. Me and my husband at the time and 2 sons were renting an apartment, and it really needed a lot of work when we moved in. But that's what we did for a living, remodeling apartments. And we had no problem in the beginning until we were almost done remodeling. Then it all started. Yeah, it usually does. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to kick up paranormal activity in a place,
start changing stuff.
Start remodeling or redecorating, and you're going to piss something off in a hurry. But the front door gave us such a hard time trying to open it, and he and I literally slammed our bodies into the door together while turning the knob. Finally, after a while, it opened. So we decided to use the back door, even though the front door would have been more convenient. One day, all 4 of us were sitting in the living room near that door, locked it, what does it say? Near that door, locked it, opened by itself, and then around 8 or 9 p.m., my husband ran to the laundromat while I stayed with the kids, who were 2 and 7 years old, and I stayed home painting. I heard that doorknob jiggle, and I almost ran to it to let him in, but if it was him, he would open it. And I heard a woman's voice, as if she were talking to a little girl, say, "Hello? I ran in the kids' room and slammed the door behind me, grabbing a baseball bat." What? It just said hello. I'm doing the whole thing as if it was the voice. Sorry. So she ran into the kids' room, slammed the door behind, and grabbed a baseball bat. My eldest son said, "All right, Mom," but I was scared. I could hear in my mind outside. I could hear, and then it says in my mind, outside that bedroom door that I ran into, men's big black shoes pacing back and forth outside the bedroom door. It was picking up the nails that my husband threw into an old roller tray for painting, nails being picked up and dropped over and over. I ran out into the hallway, the one we could use, with the kids until he came home, and I heard a lady say, "Hi," in my ear while walking across the kitchen. So it's kind of weirdly written, but I'll keep working with it here. It's a little bit more. Another day, I flew into the living room where my husband and kids were, and the people downstairs kept coming up all the time saying they couldn't stand the noise anymore of bodies being thrown to the floor and banging coming from our apartment. And we weren't even making any noise. The toilet and kitchen sink filled up with black water, overflowing also in that apartment. Sounds like Dee's house. She had some deal with her water and backup and stuff. So, a bathroom light turned on after I just shut it off, and I walked a couple of feet away, turned my head, and it was back on. As I was walking by the kitchen cabinets, they clicked open with every step, one per step. That's kind of creepy. And bugs started coming into the house, rats and slugs all over the steps, and when we came home, a bat was in the house. So I turned and ran from this bat, and I struck my husband, took him down, and he was holding his face in a fetal position, face down on the floor, not moving. I accidentally took him off his feet while running. I didn't see him, and he hit his ribs on the edge of a thick wooden end table, cracking his ribs because the bat was flying right into my face. I ran, slamming the door behind me. We had to go to a hotel because we couldn't get the bat out that night. We moved in with a friend just to get out of there because we couldn't find an apartment in time. Well, I'm sure the next people that live there will be plenty happy. Now, I know, there's something really funky about bats, and this house, for some reason, every spring we'll get about 8 or 9 bats. And if I don't catch them, the cat catches them. But so far he hasn't killed any that I know of. But I think he killed a baby one once. But they'll be flying around. And he'll be taking jumps at them like, yeah, get over here. But I have this fishing net, and I just wait till they come by and swap them, hit them in the net. And they get kind of confused in there, and then I can just walk them outside and let them go. I don't think killing them is a good thing, but people are really freaked out by bats because they, of course, everybody thinks, they're going to fly and get in your hair and get stuck and start biting you or something.
They're going to bite you.
Right.
They're rabid.
Yeah, and honestly, I think I do believe that rabies in bats is actually more rare than people think. But people have the idea that they're just crawling with rabies, all of them, and that's not the case at all. But I guess you got to be concerned. However, if you just watch them, they're if you stand still, they're not going to fly into you. They don't want to. They want to just figure out what the hell's going on, and so they echolocate and they move. But some people, man, they see a bat and they're just like all kinds of just stroking out.
Yeah.
And
Oh my God.
frenzy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
the Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Bats.
right. I don't know if I saw that one, but I'm sure I thought it was the birds.
But
But
the birds, it was being funny.
yeah, it was funny.
Trying to be
It was all kinds of funny.
sad.
It was really funny.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even need to do your sound effects anymore. You're doing them all by yourself.
Thanks,
That's awesome. But no, I mean, bats are freaky. I'll give them that because, when they do fly around, you have to wonder if they know what the hell they're doing at all because they're just kind of going here and there, but they're just trying to figure out where they are and how to get out. I don't know how they get in this house, though. That's the weird part.
The cat probably lets them in.
Well,
Hey, come on in so I can chase you around and
probably carries them in.
watch my humans go nuts.
Yeah, I got to go in for the night, so why don't you come and play with me? Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but I'm telling you, there are quite a few bats around here, and that's wonderful because they eat just a ton of mosquitoes and things and horrible things that I don't want to deal with. But when they get in the house, I just, grab the fishing net and wait. And
Come here, little baddie.
I'm serious. It's like they'll just fly around, watch them do a loop, get their pattern, and then all of a sudden just like, boom, okay, take them outside. But I will tell you one time, actually when I worked in corrections, I was in one of the living units, and there was a bat in there, and it flew around and it hit a wall and went down to the floor. And I had these big, thick, gloves on because it was winter time or it was cool anyway. And so I reached down and grabbed it because I knew it couldn't bite through it because bats actually, especially the ones here, they have really small mouths. But in Minnesota, they're a little bit bigger, but not a whole lot. But I picked it up and I looked at it, and this thing was crawling with worms.
Oh.
It was the most disgusting thing ever. I was like,
Good thing you were wearing gloves.
I know, right? Because, it was just like, I don't know what these little wormy things were. They were like little maggots or something. But it was alive. So I don't know what the hell was going on, but really creepy. I threw that thing right the hell outside. I should have probably thrown it in the garbage. But another time at the correctional facility, I was Mr. Catch and Release, right? So I like to save things. I can't bring myself to kill much of anything except mosquitoes, willingly. But I was in another building there, and there was this bat flying around, and I caught him, and I got him in like a box. And I'm like, well, what should I do? And it was really cold. It was like probably late January in Minnesota. So it was like 20 below outside. So I'm like, well, you know what? If I bring him out, maybe he can get himself to somewhere warm to tuck in and just go into hibernation. So, because what are you going to do with a bat, right? You can't just bring him home and put a collar on him. So I bring him outside.
Fly him around on a little leash.
It's a really cold night. And I opened the box, and he flew about 5 feet and dropped like a brick. He was already frozen. I was like, oh, no. So that one wasn't one of my more successful catches and releases, but I tried. I did.
It's the thought that counts.
It was just like a cartoon, like, I was like, no, that didn't work.
I'm having troubles over here.
Are you?
Yeah, for some reason I can't seem to get anything to work.
Oh, wow. Let's see if our connection's doing okay. Well, I got green connection, so
no, it's not the feed. I'm literally It says internet problems.
Oh, well, yeah. Probably got to clean that computer again. I don't think you probably got rid of everything that was wrong with it.
No.
So
that'd be the whole darn thing.
Yeah, well, I got a few old laptops too, and I love them, and but they're dog slow, and they pretty much catch everything. They catch everything. So that was our remodeling story, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and you're right though, but it's always a crapshoot. You either find treasures in the wall or you find not so much treasures in the wall.
A friend of mine found these mummified cats. And when he was remodeling.
Did you tell us about that before?
Maybe, but I did do some research, and in the 1800s they used to use cats, like dead cats, as
Right.
wards against evil.
Right.
So I don't know what was going on in his house, but yeah, apparently, and of course, he got him out of there, and I don't know if anything, nothing really aggressive happened after that, but whoever lived there must have been a little concerned about something evil.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, very cool. It happens, ladies and gentlemen. They used to do all kinds of weird stuff like that. Even old baby shoes.
Yeah.
They would put those in the walls and in the fireplace,
Why the hell
bricks
would you
and
do
stuff,
that?
because of ward against evil. They had all these weird superstitions
Baby
about.
shoes, a ward against evil.
Yep. Yep. Old baby shoes would be a ward against evil. Dead cats that were like literally almost mummified.
Wow.
They just tuck them in the floorboards and yeah. And then you got to look for these. They're called hex marks.
Okay.
And hex marks are these carvings that they used to do way back when. And what they look like is usually they're a circle with a bunch of like a star-shaped kind of pattern inside, but not like 5-pointed, but like 6 or 7-pointed or 8-pointed.
Right.
And they're called hex marks, and they were put up to ward against evil as well.
Huh.
So if you own an old house and you ever find those hex marks, that was their attempt to keep evil out of their homes. So look them up. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. So the next one I'm going to read you is coming out of California, ladies and gentlemen. California. California dreaming on this winter day. Could you imagine being in your shorts right now?
Oh God, that'd be awesome.
I know.
No.
I know, Lena.
No snow for me.
Is,
Yeah.
is Lena in the chat room?
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
She was. Oh man, I'm so jealous.
I know, huh?
Oh God, I gotta find a way to. I
Flip-flops
gotta
all
find a
year
way to
long.
live in Hawaii.
Oh,
I think that would be probably a happy place for me
I
all the
wouldn't want
time.
to be stuck on an island.
I don't think you're stuck. I think people want to get to the island. I mean, that's a place people want to end up, not that they feel stuck. It's paradise, for God's sakes. I don't know if there's anything wrong with Hawaii, other than it's expensive, as far as I understand.
My aunt lives there.
Does she? Aw.
Well, she's in Oahu, or Maui. I think
Yeah.
she's on Maui.
Maui. I don't think it matters where people are there. It's Hawaii. I mean, that's awesome. I went to Hawaii 4 years ago, and it was really awesome. My first time that I've ever been there, and it was a really cool journey, really cool experience. But I didn't want to leave. It was just really hard to come back. So, anyway, getting to the next story, ladies and gentlemen. Not that you want to hear my musings of travels, but because most of them aren't really that interesting. It was like, yeah, I was there once. Okay, the end. I don't have any good anecdotes or anything. All right, so this is another incident that happened to me when I was 5 years of age, and apparently there's other ones that this person has told about, but I don't know where they are. So actually, since I was growing up, I saw and heard stuff all of the time. Yet, in this one event, I wasn't the only one that actually experienced stuff that was weird. My parents planned a camping trip for the whole family. The place was Yosemite National Park in California. Now, if you want to hear about David Paulides missing 411, Yosemite is like the premier place for people to disappear. I think they got the most disappearances of any place as far as national parks. So, just food for thought. But it took us a while to get there, but it was all worthwhile. Yet on our way back home, something really strange happened. Not only to me, but also to my mom. We were going back home, and it was dark, and I don't know if many people have been to Yosemite before, but there's lots of turns, and the roads are really pretty dark at night. And it's pretty dangerous if you're not a safe driver, and as we left, the night was barely setting, and my father was driving really carefully and was going at a very slow speed. And he didn't want anything happening to us while on the road, which is always a good thing. And I remembered that it was already dark, and my father was driving and having a conversation with my mom, and big brother and sister were in the back of the van sleeping, and as usual, I get car sick. I was sitting in the side window smelling air so I wouldn't vomit, and then all of a sudden, I looked ahead, and I saw a man wearing a blue jogging pants and a sweater. He was just in front of the car walking while we're on the move, and we just ran over him. At the same moment, I was confused to see that my father did nothing to stop. Well, as I was recovering from what I saw, I later heard my mother screaming at my father saying, "Oh my God, you ran over him. You ran over him." My father was confused, asking my mom, "Ran over who? What are you talking about?" At this time, he'd pulled over and was really confused to have heard my mother scream and saying he had ran over a man. My sister and brother woke up because of the noise and was asking, "Well, what the hell's going on?" My father managed to calm my mom down, and he managed to assure her that he didn't run over anyone. He got out of the van, looked in front of the hood with her, no dents, no blood, and no one else saw anything. At least that's what they assumed. My father told her it was all her imagination, that she must be tired and was just imagining it. Yet, as she described the same man, I was even more confused. Why did I see the same thing as my mom, and we were the only ones? I just let it go and kept my mouth shut, and I felt bad in one point because my mom knew she wasn't seeing things. Yet how could she prove this if no one else saw? As my father got back in the van and started it up, I was debating on if I should say something or not, and we were driving off, and out of the blue, I felt an urge to turn back and see through the window. I looked, and there he was, in the middle of the road, looking straight at me, as we were leaving. And he started to jog again and disappeared into the darkness. We arrived home, and no one ever talked about it again. And since then, we haven't been camping. Well, I guess running over a ghost will kill your love of camping.
Yeah. I think it's time to leave.
You know, I honest to God, I've done camping, but I've never done like rugged camping where you go out
Right.
and you camp where there's like nobody else.
Throw a tent up.
But I've done the campground camping, and I thought that was kind of fun. But I tell you what, the more I learn about the paranormal, the less motivated I am to go camping.
I know, huh? Well, remember that story I read a couple weeks ago about just up north about the couple going camping and she was pulled out of the tent?
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
yeah, that stopped me right there.
Yeah, that'd be like, okay, I'll stay home.
It's all right. I'm cool.
Yeah, I know. And then you think about it, and you hear the stories of these cryptids, like the Sasquatch and the Dogmen and stuff, and how intrigued they are to check up on what the hell we're doing. You know.
Right.
So if you're out in the wilderness camping, whatever's there is probably going to be watching you because you're like the only thing really going on that's not normal.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? I mean, if they are intelligent and they want, to just experience things, then, I mean, is it possible that they're just watching you? Well, if they're there, I'm going to wager that they are watching you, and they're just trying to see what you do, how you do it. I think they learn a lot by watching, but at the same point, you've got maybe an 800, 900, 1,000-pound creature that you can't see sitting out of sight watching you and is perfectly aware of what you're doing. I mean, what if they're just even more bored and they want to spice things up? Well, you're what's going to spice it up.
Let's throw some rocks.
Well, that's, and that's
where we'll start.
That's where it always starts. With the Bigfoot, it is. I mean, and I think it's an intimidation tactic.
Right.
Or it could be juveniles just playing around, just getting a kick out of seeing the people react. Yeah. I mean, it's like...
They're just kids.
The kid with a magnifying glass. Watch his feelers get burned. It's just, I think that's the case. But I don't know. I just feel like the more I learn, the less I want to be out in those situations.
Yeah, no doubt.
But it'll be good when we have like Kat Hansen coming up on the 26th, is it?
25th, 26th. Yes, that's correct.
It's the 26th. We'll have her on.
It's the day after Deb.
Well, yeah, it is. It's really an epic bunch of shows coming up, ladies and gentlemen. We've got several people, and Robin Moonshadow's on this weekend. We can talk to her about camping as well, and any advice about this, because she does a lot of field researching.
You can keep your eyes open to see the gnomes looking for new homes.
Yeah, that's what Robin posted this, ladies and gentlemen, and she said that this is the season that traditionally gnomes are looking for new homes. So keep your eyes open because you may just be able to find one or see one because they're looking around. Now, the cool thing is she also did this article, and I'll have to copy that link and put it on our Facebook page. But it goes through all of the gnome types of beings, and she's talking about there are urban gnomes, and there are woodland gnomes, and there are, all these different types of gnomes. Now, the urban ones are, of course, living in the city with people. And they, I guess, are mostly out of sight and are not noticed. But, yeah, it's really cool. And I don't want to try to paraphrase it and butcher it, but just some really neat stuff that she covered in this article on her Strange Realms page.
Oh, yeah.
And that's her blog site as well. So
I'm gonna have to go find that now because I missed that.
yeah, it's really, really interesting. But we're gonna have her on Saturday, so it'll be some great discussion points to go through. I'm really intrigued about the urban ones because you usually think of these things and you think, well, they're away from people because they want to avoid people. But it was really neat to read that there's lots of legendary encounters, and not only legendary, but even recent encounters of people in urban areas seeing these things. And if you go on YouTube, you can find a bunch of videos from out of, I believe it's Mexico.
Yeah.
These little gnome-like creatures people are bumping into. And I'll tell you what, the thing that makes me give those videos credibility, because really the quality is really poor, but it's because a lot of these videos were shot in places where it's clear they don't have a lot of income.
Right.
So you get the feeling that these people would not be able to pull together a digital fake. And that to me gives it more credibility, even though it's harder to see exactly what's going on because it's really grainy. As far as having the ability to digitally enhance and
Right.
put in CGI characters gets less likely in a lot of those scenarios to me. Now, that could be maybe just the perfect setup for a hoax, and that's why it's more believable. But excuse me, but I think that's food for thought. So definitely, if you're interested in those kind of things, do some searches because there are some really cool little videos coming out of Mexico or Latin America somewhere, and those are urban settings.
Ruthie C said she saw a gnome this week.
Oh God, Ruthie, really?
That's what she says.
Will you please write in about that?
Well, Lady Death's all over that. Send it to the portal.
Yay, Lady Death. Woot woot. Please do. I'd love to hear about that because I'm absolutely fascinated by the idea that those things are around. And I would love to see those myself. I really would. That's because, it's, I don't know, there's just a part of me that really, really is intrigued by that more so than just normal. And all of the paranormal I'm extraordinarily intrigued by, but the idea that these little legendary creatures are actually out there to me is amazing, and I love the idea that they could be there.
And that's kind of a thing I could do very easily. Because I would rather, instead of a paranormal, a small cryptid would be good. It's not a pukwudgie.
Well, no, you live in the the rural areas,
right?
The mountainous areas, and this area is regarded as having a lot of sightings of things like that as well. Not the pukwudgies; those are not the ones you want to see, of course, or the red caps.
No.
The red caps are not good either. But there's a lot of them that seem like they're really, really amazing little creatures.
Yeah, I'd love to come across them.
Oh, and in this article that she posted, she also has a recipe for traditional rice pudding, which is supposed to be one of the offerings you leave out for them to make sure they know they're welcome. And so, I mean, if you want to, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to test it out, go to strangerealms.com and look for her article, and it has to do with. I'm gonna look and put it up on the screen here.
Was it just on?
Well, she posted it on the Facebook, but it's actually a link to her blog site.
Well, yeah. If it'll take us there, then.
Yeah, let me just do this. Hold on. I think it's definitely worth putting up there because it's really cool. But I do want you guys to head over there yourself because I'm sure she would appreciate the traffic. But all right, here we go. And
Is it Gnomes for the Holiday?
Oh, she posted this. She shared our link.
Yeah, she did, yeah.
Yeah, it's the Gnomes of the Holiday.
Oh, well then.
There it is. Gnomes of the Holidays. Strange Realms.
There it is.
Right, but I'm going to put it up on screen.
Oh, okay.
So I'm loading the page, and we'll put it up here for you guys to see, but it's really cool. I was reading through that today and thought it was amazing. So let me get this up on screen so you guys can see it. Okay. All right, so there's the Strange Realms .net. I guess it's .net rather than .com.
And there's the link.
So here's the article about the the holiday season and the gnomes looking for places to live and stuff. But then she goes through country or woodland gnome, house gnome, or domesticated gnome. And it sounds kind of like a house elf from Harry Potter, right? But there's city gnomes, there's brownies, leprechauns and cluricons. I guess it's cluricon. And she's got a link there to more on the leprechauns. But Tommyknockers, which anybody familiar with mining knows are the Tommyknockers. Now, I always thought that those were supposed to be a ghostly creature, but apparently they are supposed to be a little gnome. Beware of the naughty gnomes, and it's the red caps or the duende. And there you go. And then
there's a lot of information.
Right, it's a great article. She did a fantastic job. And then she's got a recipe to keep your gnome happy, and that is the sweet rice porridge. Porridge, I'm sorry, not pudding. So, and then there's oatmeal porridge recipe. So very cool, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely check it out. I'm thinking I want to make this porridge. That sounds really good.
Yeah, you're not supposed to, what is it called when you feed a Bigfoot? Habitate?
Oh, habitate, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to habitate.
Well,
is it okay to have? Well, I guess
if
it
they're
depends
domesticated,
on which ones.
Right. If there is the city or the domesticated ones, and in this case, I think what you're doing is you're not saying, hey, move in, but you're saying I like that you're here, and because they are supposed to be helpful, like the domesticated ones will help with cleaning the house and stuff. So I need a ton of those.
Yeah,
not that
too.
I have, but I hate cleaning.
Now accepting resumes. For,
right. Please send
housekeepers.
applications to paranormalportalradio.com if you're a gnome and looking for a place to live, and you like cleaning. I'll whip you up all kinds of sweet rice porridge and oatmeal porridge.
Because I don't eat it.
You don't?
I hate oatmeal and rice porridge, but I'll make it for
that's what I'm saying. It's
good cheap labor.
No kidding. But anyway, very cool, ladies and gentlemen. So check it out. And again, strangerealms.net. You can find that and so much more that she's put in a lot of work on. So, and Robin is incredibly active in researching and getting into the whole cryptids of all kinds, not just the proto-pygmies and little people. But I love that article, and I did read through it today, and I was like, yes, very cool. So, the thing is that there's legend, the legendary lore. I think there's truth to all of it, and I think there's nuggets in all of these old stories. So I'm really excited about, the concept of those being there.
Right. Hey, you know what? Can you take me off the screen so I could adjust the camera? I'm going to drop it down to about here. To just above my, it comes straight at me. So
you're going to lower the height?
Yeah, I'm going to lower the tripod, yeah.
Oh, very good. Okay. I will just take over. It'll just be a me party.
I'll be right back.
It's all about me, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about me. I like me. Okay. Did you turn your... Oh, you were just far away from your mic. I got you. I didn't see you stood up and all. But anyway, that was a cool segue into that information. But I think definitely check it out. I just think the whole gnome thing is just amazingly cool. I really do. Nature spirits to me are exciting. Not so much the dark evil things, but the nature spirits. I think that they're all about balance, and by spirits I don't mean insubstantial things. I just mean things of the paranormal realms that are aligned with nature. So, are you ready to try it?
Yeah, I'm going to have to do some adjusting.
On the fly?
On the fly.
Do you want a whole camera view of you?
No.
Don Solo?
Hey!
Ooh.
You know what? I'm going to leave it right there.
That looks pretty sexy.
Yeah, that's much better.
Even though I hung that thing up on the wall there No, I mean, that's fine.
What?
No, I hung that thing up on the upper part there, over there, just because that corner always looked so naked before. But with this different camera angle, we won't need it. So, I mean, it's there.
Well, and the in the back, the screen's not splashing anymore.
That's true, it's not.
So, gosh, look at me.
Yeah, you're looking all sexy up in there. You're looking good up in the studio.
I think do you like that one? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
that looks. I think it looks good. Let's get it side by side. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a little more giant than me, but not bad.
Well, and we could push that back a little bit. But anyhow, we're okay for now. I actually like that better because it's down lower and I don't have to
Sure.
look up.
And
Anyhow.
realistically, if you wanted, it could be stood on the floor, but it's just that way we
No,
won't have to
this
pick it up and
No,
down.
this is great. This is great.
I think it's great too. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We are producing on the fly here on the portal. Haha. So the next one I'm going to read you is pretty short. And this comes out of New York.
New York.
Yeah, go park the car. Huh, Guido?
Yeah.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
All right.
Me and my baseball bat.
Quit busting my chops, huh? All right. Some of you may have read my other... Why do people do that? They always go on about their other stories. I'm just going to go past that part. And it says, I was laying down, sleeping in my bed, and then out of nowhere, I feel a hard push. I turned and I looked, and I see a very, very dark color. I don't know whether it was a black aura, if it was really dark skin, but by my bed. And I just looked at him for a while, and he just slowly dissipated. I have no idea what it meant, but it really freaked me out. And I didn't tell my parents about it because I knew they wouldn't believe me, and I would think I was just dreaming or something, but this boy looked nothing like the boy haunting me now. But I don't know. I have heard many people say blue is good, black is bad, but I don't know. It's all really confusing, and I can't help feeling that he or she, I couldn't tell, was trying to tell me something, or that he was trying to hurt me. About 5 years later, the other thing happened, and I would appreciate help. I don't know what that means either. But I don't know what the hell he's talking about, the blue and black, and blue is good, black is bad thing. Is there supposed to be a color coding for apparitions now?
I don't know, but I mean, it's like I think it was either Ruthie C or Ruth Ann when Jim was on talking about the different colors, or maybe it wasn't either of them. I got to remember. Anyhow, somebody was talking about the colors and how nice that the colors,
right.
Are kind of universal, or universal.
Yeah.
In a very
yeah, that red means stop.
Yeah, red means stop, and yellow is caution, slow down.
Blue is good, and
blue,
green means go, and healing, and
but they also talk about just orbs in general, spirit orbs, being different colors. We've gone over the different colors before that have been written about.
Sure.
And so, I mean,
but this definitely wasn't an orb. This is a figure.
It was
So I think that's a bunch of bunk. I don't believe that there's anything to what color the apparition is, because I think that they can choose what color they want to be.
I think you might be.
I don't think that they're just one color and that's it. It's like if they want to blend into shadows, they'll appear dark. If they want to stand out, they'll appear lighter, and they can appear as substantial as you or I as well. So I don't know. I don't understand what that all means, but I've not heard of that before. Again, I can't say that it's not true. I don't really buy into it.
Wow. Okay.
So moving along. Moving along.
Have you been looking for security lights?
Not that I know of, but apparently there's some going for $112. What was it that other time? Something weird ad popped up, and I was like, what?
Preparation H.
Yeah, it's Preparation H. What the hell? And I don't have hemorrhoids that I need to put out.
No, that was the one I was going to use on the roommates.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. That I remember. All right, here's another one, ladies and gentlemen. And all right, so let's see. There again, another referral to another one. It says, no. Okay, my dog is a Brittany Spaniel. Mm-hmm. Real nice dog. Not mine, Don. I'm just reading the story. You're like, huh?
Well, no, I know what a Brittany Spaniel is. I've
had
them.
Okay. I thought you were thinking, I don't have a dog, Don.
That's a pretty big cat you got over there.
Well, yeah, a big pain in my butt. But
Brittany Spaniel.
Yep. She is usually hyper around the family and friends, but shy around strangers. And she almost never barks unless it's at the neighbor's dog. And this proved to be important. I was around, about 12 years old, I think, and I've been thinking a lot on ghosts, and it was October, and I even thought my mother had forbidden me to watch, even though my mother had forbidden me to watch ghost shows. I'd gone into the living room to watch Ghost Hunters, which is TAPS, and I'd never seen it before, and I was already nervous about my mom finding out. But after a few minutes, I relaxed and settled into the show. Okay, this is how we were arranged. I was sitting on the couch facing the TV. My dog was laying diagonally facing the TV on my left, while the cat was curled up near my feet on the right. I do believe the episode I was watching was called Shadow People, and the guys were talking to the family about the spirits of children living in their children's room. Now, they were showing the family a clip of audio that they had heard, and it was Jason talking, and then a little girl's voice saying, "Who's Jason?" Well, night after that played, my dog leapt up from her spot, or right after that played, rather, my dog leapt up from her spot and started barking at the TV. After about a minute, she settled down to just wolfing, looking from me to the TV as they replayed the "Who's Jason?" over and over. I turned off the TV and she settled back down. My cat, interestingly enough, hadn't reacted at all. So I went scoping through the house to see if it was something else that had startled my dog, but there wasn't anything. Both the neighbors on either side had their dogs and said their dogs had been asleep. And yet, about a month ago, when I had a friend over and was showing it to her, my dog didn't react. I wonder if it was just a one-time thing. I wanted to get in contact with ghost hunters and ask them about it, but I just figured it was too stupid to bother with. If you guys have ever had that happen, please let me know. Well, it's hard enough. It's very rare that animals seem to even pay attention to TVs, It's like my cat will look at it sometimes, but, it never has any interest in it. My mom had a dog, and it's the one that passed away that she feels walking on her bed sometimes still. But every time a dog came on TV, he would just run to the TV and start bouncing and jumping and barking. So it's like he was watching TV, and when he'd see a dog, he'd just freak out. And his favorite show was the Kennel Club show or whatever, where they do the dog shows.
Oh, the dog shows, yeah.
Yeah, he loved that thing. He would sit there and plant himself right in front of it like a kid just watching cartoons. He would sit there and watch the dogs for hours.
Oh, my.
Very interesting dog. Very cool. But, I've never had a pet that actually even paid attention to the television at all. And I wonder about that. It's like, why don't they? What's going on? Is it because there's no smell? And so to them, it doesn't seem as real? I don't know. Or maybe it has no energy and that they can perceive. I don't know. It's just very strange. I don't know why they don't pay attention to televisions. You can see plenty of videos online of people who's,
cats are reacting to
right.
all kinds of animals.
Right, exactly. And so I guess they can, but none of my pets ever have. They're just absolutely not interested at all. In fact, Anubis is about the closest thing to a pet that I've had that will watch TV a little bit. So, very weird, but cool story. I don't know. I suppose that, maybe there was an energy to that EVP when they played it that was a little reactive for the dog. I don't know. Very strange, though, Don.
Yes, very strange.
Very strange. There are strange things afoot.
Oh, boy.
All right, so let's see what this one is. Let's just see, because I'm just finding them for you right now on the fly, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me, I got a real frog here. Ribbit. All right, so this one is coming out of California. California. I'm not really sure if I was experiencing anything ghostly when this happened, but maybe someone can help me figure out what it is that I did experience. This is about 2 months ago, and it started out as a horrible dream. And I dreamed that I was with my family, and we were about to get into a car and drive someplace, but I don't know where. But from what I remember of my dream, I don't think I wanted to go because I jumped out of the car from the back window in defiance of my dad's orders. The next thing I know, it was like we were at the scene of an accident, even though no one was hurt and there was no accident. The police were there talking to my family, and I was off to the side away from them, wrapped in a blanket, and I started to run away, and my dad started to chase me. And for some reason, I knew he wanted to kill me. Ooh, that's creepy. Now, it was just him and me running, and I was able to get pretty far while he was chasing me, but all of a sudden, I began to run slower and slower, like I was running in sand, until I was barely running at all. Then he turned the corner and came right up to me with a knife in hand, and he stabbed me in the stomach and then pulled it out. Then he stabbed me again in the shoulder, but instead of pulling the knife out, he dragged it from my shoulder across my throat. Jesus, this is horrible. Like a diagonal line from my left shoulder to the top right-hand corner of my throat.
Wow.
But when it reached my neck, I was completely aware of the dream. I just couldn't wake up. I could hear and feel myself choking and gagging, and I felt the knife dragging through my throat, but it was so real. Every bone the knife crossed, I felt it crack.
Ugh.
That's horrible.
Oh my God.
Ooh. I wanted to scream so badly so that someone might hear me and come fully wake me. So I tried with all of my might to scream
Right.
as loud as I could, and it finally worked, and a piercing scream escaped me. My eyes were wide open at this point, and I stared at the ceiling for a few seconds out of fear and shock. Then I tried to get up. It felt like something heavy was on top of me, and I couldn't move. Oh, there you go. I felt myself trying to move, but I wasn't. I didn't feel like I was paralyzed. I felt like a force was holding me down. After a while, I was able to move again, but I was so scared to look around my room because I felt like something was there. So I just pulled the covers over my head as tightly as possible and went back to sleep. When I slept, I had another dream. Only I thought it was real because in my dream, I woke up and told my mom about the dream I just had. Then my friend came over because we walked to school together in the morning, and she was in my room and I was in my bed, and her eyes turned black and her face changed. Oh, this sounds terrible. She looked so evil. She started taunting me about the dream I just had, and I realized it wasn't her voice at all. In my dream, I know she was a demon in disguise as my friend, and the demon was tormenting me with my dreams. Again, I woke from the dream in another dream, if that makes sense. It does to me because I've experienced something really similar. It's really creepy to hear this because I didn't know that this was something that happened to anyone else. It kept happening through the whole night. I thought I was never going to wake up, that I would be trapped in an endless dream. And when I finally did, my mother came into the room angry because she said she came in to wake me up before and that I was going to be late for school. And I start crying because I didn't know if I was still dreaming or not. I get chills whenever I think about it. And I've never been so scared in my life. I felt terrified. Before that night, I never had ever had a bad dream, really.
Wow.
That's pretty lucky.
Those are some pretty horrible. That's a pretty horrible dream.
Yeah, it wasn't just scary, it was evil. And I don't think I ever want to feel that way again. I can tell you I had a few dreams like this, but one was when I was a teenager. And I was probably maybe around 15 years old as well. And I used to go fishing with this older guy. And he was somebody that just happened to be in the hospital room, the same hospital room that I was when I had my first knee surgery.
Right.
And I had really bad reaction from the anesthesia and nearly died and was fainting all the time. But I finally snapped out of it, and this guy and I became close, and it was back when you could smoke in hospitals, and he'd sneak me cigarettes and stuff because I was too young, but he'd sneak me cigarettes, and I could have a smoke, but because I was not necessarily a choir boy, but he loved to fish, and I loved to fish, so we go hang out fishing, and that was kind of our thing, which was okay, and it was good times, and nothing creepy or weird, just a nice guy, And I remember having a dream one night where I was sitting with him next to a campfire, and we were kind of sitting there with our legs crossed on the ground right by the campfire. And he was sitting there staring at me, and I was sitting there, and I realized there's a big knife in front of me. And it was like something took over my body, and I couldn't control my body in the dream. And I did that. I grabbed the knife, and I couldn't stop it. I couldn't move, but my arm was moving and cutting my own throat. And I remember what it felt like to bleed out and then to fall over. And as soon as I fell over, boom, I was back there sitting by the fire. And this happened about 8 or 9 times.
That's just crazy.
It is. It's really creepy. And I don't know. I didn't know what to think of it. But I mean, I was absolutely terrified going through this loop in the dream. And he became darker and darker. What I thought was this friend of mine became darker and darker with each one. And I realized that it wasn't my friend at all, that it was something really evil.
Wow.
But, after it was all done, and I'd gone through this several times, and I essentially killed myself several times in the dream and died in the dream. But I woke up and I was just sweat and I was panting and I was just hysterical. I was just like, and I was so glad to be awake. I was so glad to not be in that situation. But I'm telling you, it had to have been something dark like that. So when I'm reading this story, I'm like, oh my God, do I know what this is like? And it is horribly, horribly. It's just diabolical is the only thing I could say. So yeah, I do believe that it could be a demonic thing. Maybe there's just a demon coming through and just preying on people. It's transient, it's not necessarily anchored to one place.
That's scary.
It is really, really creepy. And I'm telling you, I'm here to tell you, it was the most horrible thing to die over and over and over and not be able to help yourself at all.
I'm sitting here trying to think if I've ever had any really weird dreams like that. And honestly, the only one scary dreams. Let me say that weird, scary dreams. And the only weird, really, I've had some really weird dreams. But the only one that really scared me was when I was being chased by King Kong or something.
Oh,
like that.
Sure, when you were really little.
Yeah, when I was little, I was just so scary. But I mean, now it's like I was scared of that.
Well,
but I mean, I've got no stories like that, man. I've got no stories of things that I've
which
just
is
been
good.
frightened of, So
yeah, and that's really good. That's all I can say because it was about as horrible a dream as
yeah, it sounds like it.
as you could have, I think. But I totally empathize with what this person experienced because I know what that felt like, and I don't know, but it's a girl that had it, but I'm not a female, obviously, but very, very creepy. And thank God, maybe it was just something to do with puberty. I don't know. I mean, how do you even
quantify something
right?
like that?
You can't even put it in. Can't even put it in any terms. It's just like wow.
Yeah.
It's so.
Now I'm sorry. Go back and tell. Were you trying to end the dream by killing it?
No, I just couldn't control it. I mean, I couldn't do anything. I was stuck sitting cross-legged by the fire with this person that appeared to be my friend.
And they just had.
And it was
saw this big knife.
Yeah, and it was like my arm was not my arm. It was like attached to my body.
Was it alien?
Well, the rest of my body was frozen. I couldn't move, but my arm grabbed the knife and brought it up to my neck, and I'm like, oh my God, and then I could just feel it, and it was just horrible. It was just horrible, and over and over and over. It was like, I don't know. It was horrible. Terrible dream. And it's funny because I really had forgotten about it until this story, and it's like, oh my God, no, I remember. So it's one of those memories that won't ever fade.
Yeah.
I may not think about it or even recall that it's there, but when you read something like this, it's like boom.
It just brings it right back.
Yeah, and all of its horror. Yeah.
Jeez.
Terrible dream. But I don't know.
Well, I've had kind of they were kind of like Viking dreams.
Oh yeah.
I had a dream where it was like I was somewhere. It was Viking-ish. And they pulled a bloody eagle on a guy.
What's a blood
eagle? A blood eagle.
What is that?
That's where they pretty much take and hack your ribs off from your spine and then pull it open.
Oh.
And then pull your lungs out and throw them over your shoulders.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's yeah.
No, that's weird too.
But I mean, it wasn't me doing it. It wasn't happening to me, but
you were just observing.
Yeah, it was one of those things, It was just one of those weird things.
It's just so strange how barbaric people can be. I mean, that those things even exist.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No, that's not Jeremiah the bullfrog in my throat. No, I don't think so. I'm glad you got. That's a good friend of mine. Jeremiah was a bullfrog. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. All this entertainment wrapped up in one title. What more could you want? It's like, what the
Was
hell?
a good friend of mine.
Okay. And there you have it.
Oh, man.
That's funny, though. Thanks.
Paranormal Portal soundtrack coming out soon.
Guys, sounds like past life memories. You know, I guess it...
You know, that would be...
For your dreams, yeah.
Yeah,
that
would be interesting.
You know, that could be it.
Well, that would explain
That's great,
this.
Ruthie. Good.
That would explain the beads.
Well, you've got an affinity to all of that, though. I mean, you've got
I kind of do.
You kind of got that whole Viking vibe going on.
Wait until I shave my head.
Is that coming?
Ragnar.
Are you going?
No, because I
bald?
still have a full head of hair.
Well, that's what I
still have,
thought, but
it's you know.
Some people choose to shave their head, though, even if they do have
That's
a full
true,
head of
no.
hair.
Well, no, when it gets to that point, it's like gone. That's gonna be it.
Yeah.
They call me Cue Ball Don.
Well, they won't call you that.
They're scared of the beard. They fear the beard.
Well, you know, beards can be intimidating for some guys.
You know, I wonder because I've had that dream about talking with Odin, and you know, he says it's time to come home, Merlin, and I had that dream about the blood eagle, you know, and those aren't weird dreams per se,
right?
You know, but you know,
past life, they're plenty weird.
Well, yeah, okay, but I mean, like they're not like scary, horrific, weird, you know, and you know, and so I mean, it's not like slitting my own throat. It's not like having somebody sitting on my chest. You know,
I'd rather have the Odin dream.
I much preferred it myself.
Yeah, I'll bet that'd be pretty powerful.
You know, so I mean, but maybe it's just maybe it is some past life peeking through. You know,
right? Yeah,
that would be interesting.
Very, very well could be, and that's a great angle, Ruthie. Thank you for that. I think you're right. I think that there's probably some remnant of ancestral memory in there from your other lives.
That's a great way to say it, ancestral memory.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, you know, it doesn't really apply because it doesn't because ancestral memory, of course, would come from other people in your lineage,
Right,
but we're talking about your experience.
Well, aren't you in your own lineage?
I don't know.
Spiritual lineage?
Spiritual lineage, yeah. But yeah, I think that's a great angle, though. Thank you, Ruthie. I appreciate your input. That's why I love you chatters. You guys bring something new to the table.
Yeah, but Lady Death, is that because of what?
Jim.
Oh
my God.
Lady Death says she has some pretty horrific dreams sometimes, but do you think that might be related to things you're going through, you know, personally, you know, with the car accident and things like that?
So that's the hard part, though, and I think that's the troubling part is
you don't
how
know.
do you know? And certainly some doctor would probably say that because that's the safe answer, right? I mean, that's the safe answer to say, well, you're just processing, you know, all of these struggles, and perhaps that's even true, but could the struggles be amplifying old memories?
Yeah.
You know, from another lifetime? Could they be? You know, I mean, as horrible as it is to say, I think that pain does teach us,
Right.
and you know, and perhaps it helps us get in touch with ourselves because when you're hurting, it's like all you can do is be in your own head,
Right.
because everything else it just hurts.
You know, but and you know, those kind of dreams, I don't know. I think they would like, I don't know. There must be some trigger to something like that, though. I mean, and you know, specifically in this particular case, but I mean, what would be the trigger or whatever it was? Have you ever really sat down and thought about why you had that dream? Or
No, I mean, this is going back to a time when I was wrestling with something really dark, though.
right? Oh yeah.
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
this
I can put that together now. Yeah.
This might be where it began, kind of thing.
Oh, interesting.
It was really quite a hell of a journey, and it took a long time. I'm talking like decades to get through it. But yeah, I mean, what do you do?
Yeah.
So I mean, it was kind of always, you know, I've had some really amazing dreams, much like yours as well. But those are too hard to put into words. It would take a book to explain what I experienced in those dreams. But and there's no quick way to say it other than I've seen myself as many things in dreams, and I don't know, maybe they are past life memories, maybe they're just the whimsy. I choose to believe that maybe they're past life memories, or maybe even true self memories.
Right.
You know, because I think that when we're incarnate in this life, we're incarnate with a set of blinders.
Right.
But I think I've experienced my true self in dreams, and I've experienced things that I've gone through with my whole spirit, rather than just this part we get to use while we're here embodied in the physical plane. So and it's really pretty amazing, really pretty amazing. But I don't know, maybe that'll be a subject for another show, because I think dreams are really profound, and they're confusing,
Right.
but they are just as real as all this is when you're going through them. At least most
Right.
of them are. I mean, and it's strange the things you accept in a dream. Like, you'll go into a house that looks nothing like any place you've ever been, but that'll be home.
It's like,
In
yeah,
your
you've
dream,
been
you
there
accept
forever.
that that's home.
Right.
And how does that happen? What is that? Are you peeking at another life? You know, are you peeking at another incarnation? Or are you catching something from the ethers that's floating around and experiencing it like your own memory? Or, you know, because I don't understand that. It's like that you have such a different vision of self in dreams and in even circumstances. Like, you'll be married to someone you don't recognize, but you love them to death in the dream. It's like the most deep love. But when you wake up, it's like, who the hell was that?
And why haven't I met them yet?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that my twin flame?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So
Oh
they're here. That was back by you.
no! Don't say things like that.
Okay. That wasn't back by you. That was, yeah.
Oh goodness.
Now we're just talking about touching on the etherical plane and what things that we've experienced in dreams, and then that came through. So is that relevant? I don't know.
Who knows?
Is that something popping in from the etherical plane? I don't know. Again, I'm not so sure this thing works at all, but if it does, that's a pretty interesting correlation.
It's brought some interesting conversations.
It has, but I think, you know, it's at least worth noting what we were talking about when that happened.
No, that wasn't something that said anything. It's supposedly there was a spirit or a presence in the room with us,
right,
that passed through. Or I wonder if it just notifies you that they're here just one time, and if they move around.
No, they should stay on. I mean, as I understand it, as long as they're present in whatever vibration they're present in, it should stay on screen. Now, I don't think it means they've left. I just think that they might change their focus.
They turn down their energy. They're like, oh, they heard me.
Engage stealth. So I don't know, but we'll see if they've got something to say.
Wow.
Because the presence is fine, but, you know, give us some input if you got something to say. That would be cool. I mean, what better interview would there be than to interview your spirit right here on the portal? Yeah, I wish these things really, really worked, that you could
Yeah, no doubt.
dial them in and get answers to questions.
We should get a what is it? A portal? The Huff portal?
You know, that would be cool. I think that, you know, I would like to get the schematics that Dan put together and put together something of the same.
That's right. He mentioned that he did.
Right. He did it off a build. I'm going to get the schematics from him and see about putting one of those together and having a longer session. Because I think that, you know, for as much stuff as does happen here, that maybe something would come through and at least give us some kind of idea. And then those of you in the chat room, you guys catch so many things that maybe you'll hear something we don't in whatever responses we get.
Thank you, Jess. Jess says, leave Don alone, spirit.
No, ride him like a pony.
Oh, God. Oh. Oh, my goodness.
Sorry, was that out loud or was I thinking that?
Was I thinking out loud again?
Sorry about that. It was funny, though. He's got the dragon beads to grab onto. I mean, come on.
Little Donnie.
Sacramento Paranormal Investigators. How you doing? Good to see you, and thanks for stopping into the show. We are, as usual, having a full buffet of weirdness here on the Paranormal, but Paranormal Portal anyway. But hope you're enjoying the show all the same. But yeah, I think that these are pretty cool. We should do a show on dreams though, because I mean, there's so much to discuss.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't done one in a while. We did a dreams like a year ago.
I think we told, we read encounters people had in dreams, but I don't think we've actually discussed.
What we need to do is get people to call in and tell us about their dreams, and then
There
we
you
can
go.
talk about them.
And ladies and gentlemen, we
find
don't
out
have
how
the phones.
weird you are.
Well, how weird all of them are.
Yes. Well, them, yes. You, as in our listeners.
You guys aren't weird, are you? We're all weird, but you're all our kind of weird. So it all works out. It all works out.
One of us.
So that was really a bad dream.
Yeah.
But strangeness. It's just so weird to read something and go, oh, yeah, I remember when that happened.
Oh, that's crazy.
I had literally forgotten all about it until just that moment.
Really?
Yeah. It happened when I was like 15. So,
Right.
it was really, really powerful as far as, the
Impact.
The impact of it was incredibly powerful. And it took me a long time not to think about it and not to try to figure out what the hell it meant, because I didn't notice it. I thought, does this mean I'm going to die? What the hell does this mean? Just a teenage me trying to dig through the meaning of a really complex, bizarre dream of pure evil. So anyway, but I made it.
And here we are.
And here we are. And Show had brought together the idea of the portal. All right. So here's one from Louisiana. Louisiana, lady. This one goes out for you, because ladies are lady. All right. When I was a few months old, my family moved from Texas into a beautiful home that was in Louisiana.
Louisiana.
And they got Nolans down there too.
Got a lot of good food too.
I was in New Orleans. That was a beautiful place. I loved it. That was pre hurricane though, so I haven't been back for many, many years, obviously. But I really loved the French Quarter. I hung out there all the time. It was great. Anyway, back to the story.
Sorry.
So we moved into a beautiful home, and that was in Louisiana, and I was out in the country, and there were a few houses that were close to us, but at first we were just renting it, but the man that owned it later sold it to us because the house went into bankruptcy. As far as I'm concerned, there was a baby. As far as I'm concerned, there was a baby and a mother, and at night my dad used to watch TV late. I guess he was a baby, right? He said, how old was he? I forgot, a few months old. Yeah, so the baby and a mother. And at night, my dad used to watch TV late at night, and sometimes he would hear me cry, or so he thought. So he'd go check on me. And it seemed to come from the other side of the house. And as soon as he would reach the hall, it would stop. Figuring that I just stopped crying, it happened more than once, and I was never the one crying, and he would try to sneak into my room, but there was always the same results. And sometimes I would even be sleeping in my mom's room and not even home. And it still always seemed to come from that side of the house. And it was a baby crying. A young girl, it says, my room in the hall was a whole different house that was moved to that location many years ago, and a doctor bought the house and added on to it. When I was maybe 3 or 4, my dad started working overseas. So there was only my mom and myself, my brother and sister, both teenagers. My sister's boyfriend would sometimes stay at our house, and Mom moved me to the other side of the house in her room because I was terrified to sleep in my own room. And I always felt that there was something was watching me. And I was also scared of the staircase, which I could clearly see from my door. My mom would offer William to sleep in my room, but he refused. No matter what, he would sleep on the couch. I loved to draw when I was little, and I still do, so we would put all my drawings on the bottom of my closet, and one day he finally told my mom that the reason he wouldn't sleep in my room was because one night he woke up and heard papers being moved. He got up and went in my room and saw papers floating in the air and being tossed to the side as if they were being looked through. Not only that, I had numerous wind-up toys and a laughing phone that would wind up in the night. Oh, jeez. That's a little creepy. The little girl loved to play with my toys. One night, I had a dream that the little girl was my best friend, and no matter what, we would always play by the staircase and in my room. She refused to go anywhere else. After a while, my brother and sister moved out, so there was only me, a young girl, my mom, the ghost mom, and the ghost daughter, which also seemed to be a young girl. I know there is a mom because one day my mom was going upstairs to clean my brother's room, and a lady in a long brown dress was standing on the staircase blocking her way upstairs. Also, one night I woke up to a creaking noise that was coming from my mom's room.
Oh.
When I walked into her room, the rocking chair was rocking back and forth. And when I went to see if the window was open in case the wind was blowing, it wasn't. And there was an indentation in the chair, as if somebody was sitting in it, like my mother was rocking her baby to sleep. When I was in the first grade, we moved to Grand Isle, but we would come to the house on weekends, and since we left, it was never the same. We would come home no matter what we did, it was cold. We even got a fireplace installed, and we would come home, and it had gotten so cold that our plates were cracked, and my fish had died. And the house had a weird feeling to it. I missed the house, but for some reason, I just couldn't stay in it when we came to visit. I would always go to a friend's house. One night I had a dream my mom and I were outside, and all of a sudden, 3 men came up to us and tried to kill us. They looked like they were Asian, maybe Chinese or Vietnamese. And in my dream, our yard was a sugarcane field, and our house is actually built on what used to be a sugarcane field. The men made a box, and it seemed very important to them, and everything was a sugarcane field except for our driveway and a tree. The 3 men killed my mom and I and buried the box next to the tree, the one on the side of our driveway. And I know what tree it was in real life, but we moved it before I ever thought about digging there. Oh, we moved before I ever thought about digging there.
Thank God.
My mom and I were talking one day, and all of a sudden she said that one night she woke up to what seemed to be a horrible fight. It came from the other side of the house, yet it seemed like it was happening right in front of her. From what she remembers, there was 3 men yelling and screaming, killing the mother and daughter, just like in my dream, except it wasn't my mom and I. Whatever these men were screaming, the K in the language was mostly what was heard. She pictured 3 men of a Vietnamese type, and I had never spoken to her about the dream before. People that came to our house would hear whispering, see shadows, and they would hear my toys being played with, and they all said that it was coming from my room or the staircase. They knew the house was haunted, but if they were making up stories, how would they know what things usually only happened by my room? At first, my mom and I thought they were just 2 innocent little ghosts, but our minds were changed. As soon as my mom got to the idea to get the house blessed and look up the history of the house, our lives were turned upside down. We were forced by my dad to sell the house, and many other things went wrong. When my mom and I thought about everything that had happened over the years, we began to realize maybe we were wrong about the ghosts all along. Were they ever really nice? There was always bugs and snakes in and around the house, no matter what. No matter what, it was cold, nobody wanted to stay. They moved out refusing to stay. Everybody except for me and my mom. Doesn't it just seem a little weird that there was a mother and a daughter ghost, and me and my mom were the longest people to stay in the house? We finally moved, and our lives seemed so much better. Even thought it was a beautiful house, even though I think it was a beautiful house, and we'll never live in one like it again. My mom and I have found a nice town in southern Louisiana, and we're just fine without a nice fancy house. I guess money really can't buy happiness. Ooh, it ends with a little lesson there, doesn't it?
Yeah, no doubt.
A little piece of wisdom, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of a ghost story.
Lady Death says she's surrounded by cane fields.
Oh, really? Maybe you're living in the same area.
She said they were burning them last night. Of course they were. They were getting ready for planting.
Oh, is that what happens?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know how that all works, but that's cool. That is cool. I know that Louisiana is just a really cool energy. That whole state, the parts that I was in, you could feel that history. It's just so powerful, and lots of spiritual energy.
Yeah, no doubt. There is a lot of history down there, and there's a lot of folklore and just passed down knowledge.
Right.
you know, and you know, there's got to be that it's just got to be rich. I mean, with all of that, you know, all the different types of people down there. You know, there's French, you know, and the French, of course, are, you know, Cajun and Creoles, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
they all, you know, added to what's going on down, or you know what, you know, the culture down there, you know, and then of course you've got all the, you know, the things that were connected to the sugarcane fields and all that, and the plantations and things. So there's, you know, and we hear about paranormal history from there all the time,
Mm.
you know, you know, and I I would love to talk to somebody who really wants to dive into that and you know, talk about it. That'd be really cool. I'd like to do that.
I mean, it's especially even with the advent of the hurricane,
Yeah, true.
and all
Yeah.
of the death that happened because of that. I mean,
Yeah.
that certainly amplifies a psychic energy for a place for sure, and whatever was there before, and to be coupled with that tragedy, that to me is just you know, it's a boiling pot of possibility.
Right.
I'm surprised that not not more investigating is going on there, and maybe there is. You know, I can't really say that, but I'm talking about, you know, the shows that are on television. They go to a lot of different places, but I would think you could probably make your entire career down in Louisiana. I just think there's such history, there's such tragedy, there's such pain.
Mm-hmm.
I just know. I heard a bunch of stories. If you ever go to, what is it, Dark Dark Waters?
Okay.
He has a YouTube channel, and
Oh, right, right.
he did a whole show about stories coming out after the hurricane,
Mm-hmm.
and he did a whole bunch of great stories and the things people witnessed that were there during the hurricane, and
No doubt.
and even thereafter were just. I mean, there was so much going on there with I don't know, otherworldly entities, and it just I don't know, if you get a chance, check out Dark Waters. He does a great job, and I know that he claims that he really researches everything before he puts it on the show. So I mean, it's not like you're just hearing a bunch of ghost, you know, ideas that somebody wrote down.
Right.
He apparently really checks into them, interviews the witnesses several times, and checks out the locations. And so he really puts a lot of heart into it, and I think he does a great job. So Dark Waters, again, ladies and gentlemen, on YouTube here. Check him out, and you'll find some great stories coming out of from Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was really bizarre, and I still can picture some of those things because he's a good storyteller. I mean, the guy does a great job setting the stage, and he uses sound effects and does a really nice job putting together his show.
Hmm.
So, but
Well,
it's not visual.
You know, you've hit on some really dark dreams so far already.
You know, that
That's
seems to
just
be, it's funny because even, and this has been happening lately, even though I a lot of times don't think up a theme for like even the bedtime
Right.
stories.
Something happens and we go that direction.
Well, the stories that I ended up
Right.
picking will all seem to have a theme. Now, dreams are coming up over and over and over tonight, and I didn't look for dream stories. I would have named the episode, you know,
How we
Paranormal
want dreams.
Dreams,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
something. But I didn't know. It's just, it's funny because the shows go the direction the shows go, and I can't take a whole lot of credit for it. It's just apparently something needs to be discussed, and so we're discussing it. So maybe someone out there listening is really struggling with some dreams and needs some insight.
Yeah.
Or maybe a lot of you have dealt with some kind of spiritual dreams. You know, I know that, again, I've had dreams of meeting deceased family members, and those are always really, really amazing, and they're so real, and I really believe they are spiritual visitations. So again, dreams are just powerful. But I think they're still largely a mystery to our sciences. You know, what's going on? How is this working? Why is this happening? But you know, it's just that casual dismissal that, oh, it's just the activity of a
right.
subconscious mind processing stuff, and it's like, yeah, I don't think so. I mean, that's possible, and I can't say it's completely bunk, but I think that it's only half the story. I mean, you know, when you're dreaming about cooking a hot dog or something, then yeah, it's the musings of a subconscious mind.
Right.
But when you're sitting down with your father that just passed,
Right.
and he's hugging you, and it smells, feels, everything about the situation is absolutely lucid and clear. And I even got to apologize to him for not being the greatest son, and he was really loving back to me, which he wasn't really in life. So it was very healing and,
Right.
and a very powerful thing. So, and again, I really believe that those are real encounters. It's just they happen through the dreams because maybe that's when I'm receptive, and they can get their messages through. So
Crazy. Well, but dreams aren't hampered by our conscious filters either, though. So you don't have those normal everyday blocks put up because it's the opening of the subconscious. So I wonder if well, there's obviously a lot to that would have towards the quality and the vivacity of the dream itself. So I mean, it goes back to me saying, Thomas Harris, he wrote the Lecter books, and Stephen King wrote all those books, and his Richard Bachman books, and all those books. People have come up with some twisted dreams, and they've made a lot of money on them.
they have.
But I mean, they're twisted books. They've written twisted books, but people have had those twisted dreams, and they've acted on them, and have the Zodiac killer, or not Zodiac, well, it's Zodiac too, but I was thinking of Son of Sam. I forgot his name. His name went right out of my head. But he had those images, and he had some dreams, but it was mostly his dog talking to him.
Oh.
But I mean, let's talk about that. But there's some messed up people in this world, and a lot of people who they go and watch movies, and they see these movies, but you have to realize that people have thought these things up in some manner, whether it be just the ravings of a scarred mind or whatever, or dreams that they've had that they've expanded on. It's scary. It's just scary.
The Sacramento paranormal investigator says it's easy for them to communicate with you while you're sleeping, and some don't even know they have passed, or they come to you before you even get the phone call to say goodbye.
Right, yeah.
And that's something that's very true. And we've covered many encounters about that, where people are getting phone calls after they've just had a meeting with somebody, and they're like, what are you talking about? He was just here. I just talked to him.
Right.
And, I think that those are incredibly powerful. And if anything, it just really lends credibility to the whole idea that these spirits are coming and meeting people. Now, some people have those experiences in the waking state.
Right.
Like we've covered claims where people said, well, my aunt stopped by and she was really in a hurry and came in and, left she either left or took something or whatever, just came by, couldn't stop, really had to go, but just wanted to say I love you and goodbye, and gave a hug. And even, what was it? Something got stuck to the chair. Was it some of the fur from the coat she was wearing or something like that?
Oh.
Do you remember that? And I was like, are you kidding me? That would be so powerful. And then so anyway, the aunt leaves. Something, maybe it was a part of the jacket or shirt tore and left a piece on the on the chair.
Something
And
like
left,
that, some fabric,
and some fabric, and they left, and not minutes later, after this aunt just left, the person got a phone call from their mother, who was the sister of the aunt, saying, I'm sorry, honey, I've got some bad news, and Aunt so-and-so died. And the person's like,
she was just here.
What are you talking about? She just left. She came by and told me she loved me. She gave me a hug. And to me, that is just amazingly profound, because they would have in their possession fabric that was manifest,
right,
along with the spiritual manifestation.
Right.
I mean, that fabric wasn't actually there. It was, it was just an ethereal body manifest perfectly, but enough so that it actually left a fragment of fabric. And I would hang on to that stuff. I'd be so curious to see that piece of fabric studied and to see if there's any differentiation
Right.
between, that matter and normal matter in our universe. I mean, that's just, to me, that is like a Rosetta Stone kind of thing.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
So-
Because, something that can be left behind from a manifestation.
The fabric of our lives.
The fabric of our lives. Cotton. Yes.
Oh, lady, that's awesome.
But, that would be incredible.
It really would be. And so and you're right. And for me, I've had the dreams of people who had already died, and I'd already been, grieving in
Right.
some way or another, and they came to me and said, "Hey, I'm good. Don't worry. You can tell everybody if you want." And that's, let them know I'm great. And really powerful experiences. So you're right. I think, and I agree with you that they come through in the dreams because that's the easiest way to
Right.
get through to us. Yeah, but I think having a actual manifestation is really, really cool, though. So however it happens, but you're right.
Huh.
You're all right. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, that was that one. I got to close it. And that was the bad dream.
I have some short ones.
Go ahead, Mr. Longbeard. The table is yours.
My older sister, Celine, died at the age of 30 about 5 years ago. Last night I was rolling around in a fit of insomnia when I fell into a sort of wakeful coma type of state. I saw my sister at the edge of the bed wearing a heather green wool sweater, her deep chestnut eyes and her hair as piercingly beautiful as they were when she was alive. We made eye contact and I reached out to her, imploring her to stay. Then she asked if I was doing okay, and I was surprised to see a frown because I'd always assumed that my sister would be happier on the other side than she was here on Earth. Then it hit me. I knew exactly why she was sad. She didn't want to miss my little brother's wedding, which was taking place this coming weekend. I tried to hug her and hold her tight and explain how much we'd miss her during the ceremony and every other day, but she couldn't or wouldn't stay much longer. Right before evaporating, she said, "Will you marry me one day?" I laughed and replied, "Yes, of course. You can do that over there?" You can do that over there. I love the idea of marrying my sister for whatever reason. A wedding between sibling ghosts doesn't seem at all sense. Okay, so this is obviously a guy dreaming about his sister. Who has passed, and coming back to say, hey, I really wish I could be there for our other brother. So that's kind of cool.
That is really cool.
My grandfather died when I was 9. He was my best friend growing up, and we hung out all the time since both my parents worked, and he babysat me during the day. After his funeral, my grandma had a bunch of family over to the house. Everyone was hanging out in the kitchen, and I was walking through the living room. I passed by my grandpa's favorite chair, and I swear that when I glanced at it, he was sitting there reading the newspaper as he always did. I just said, "Hi, Grandpa," and continued walking my way to the bathroom. When I got to the bathroom, it suddenly hit me that he had died. I ran back to the living room, and of course he was gone. The thing that gave me crazy chills though, was that the newspaper was sitting on the arm of the chair. Huh.
I'm sorry, I missed all of that one because I was
That's okay.
typing the response.
Well, that's okay. It's your turn to.
I'm engaging.
Engage. It was about a boy whose grandpa had died, and at the wake, or celebration of life, or whatever you want to call it, he walked by his grandpa's chair and saw his grandpa sitting there reading the newspaper like it was every day.
Oh, cool.
And he said, "Hi, Grandpa," and then went to the bathroom, and then he realized that his grandpa just passed away.
Mm-hmm.
He walked back and he said, the grandpa wasn't there, but his newspaper was.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if the newspaper was there before.
Never know.
Mm.
My brother passed away 4 years ago, and we were really close, so it hit me pretty hard. I've always believed in spirits and have had a couple experiences, but after he passed, it was very active around here for a while. First, my mom said she was in the garage talking to some friends about him, and one of the power tools turned on for a second.
Oh, Jesus.
And then my cousin said he was in the backyard when he saw one of the kids' tricycles roll backwards and then towards him. At this point, I was pretty mad he hadn't interacted with me. So I'm lying in bed complaining that he isn't messing with me, when out of nowhere I hear someone say my name extremely loud right in my face. In retrospect, most people would have been scared and not been able to sleep. But knowing it was him, I actually really got a really good rest that night. So the ghost of your brother screams in your face and you sleep good. Well, obviously has paranormal portal bed sheets.
Everyone should have some of
They
those.
should, and
Yep.
we should be able to someday get them. That'd be nice.
That would be.
When I was 5, my grandmother passed from breast cancer. Fast forward 10 years later, 2005, I had it. Okay, 2005, I had a dream one night that my dad decided to buy the house he grew up in, the same one where we lived for a while when I was a kid. In the dream, I was the first person to walk into the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked into the family room to see my grandmother sitting in the chair knitting. I say, "Hi, Mom, what are you doing here?" She responds, "I wanted to come down from heaven and let you know I'm always watching over you and I love you very much."
Aww.
I woke up in a cold sweat wondering what the hell just happened. Then I go downstairs to tell my mom about my dream. She says, "Oh, wow, that's freaky." I inquired why. Then she says, "Today is the 10th anniversary of when Mom died."
Oh,
Oh.
that's wonderful. That's really cool.
That's one of those ones that, like you talk about, it's like, people always watching over you,
Yeah.
And, with the idea that they're everywhere and we just happen to bump into them every now and then. It's
Right.
kind of a scary thought.
Yeah.
My girlfriend and I would often take walks in college at night. We would usually take the same route, and every time we passed this one street light, it would go out. We always looked for it when we walked and usually commented on it when it went out, at least 80% of the time, no exaggerating. 8 months after we got engaged, my fiance died.
Oh.
It's been 9 years, and I still enjoy going for walks at night. Sometimes just because, sometimes I've had a bad day. When it's because I've had a bad day, there's a street light that goes out as I walk by. If I happen to drive by later, it'll be back on. If I'm in a good mood, it doesn't go out. I can't explain.
Wow. That's cool. Again, it's the affirmations.
Yeah, no doubt. I visited my great-grandmother and my grandmother's roommate frequently in my sleep. My mom said my great-grandmother was really sick before I was born and tried to hang on so she could meet me, but died 2 months before. My grandma also says that I'm a lot like her, so we all kind of figured that that's why I get to see her in my sleep. My grandmother's roommate was a very important person in my life, and when she died, I was a mess. She had visited me in dreams plenty of times and actually saved me from what I believe was a dangerous situation that could have ended in my death. So there's spirits interceding.
Gotta love those. I think those are cool. Every once in a while, you bump into a cool story of like a spirit interceding, and I think that those are incredibly powerful. And one of which that I remember reading a long time ago, whether it was while I had the show or not, I don't recall. But essentially, this family moved into this house, and apparently there was an old man that was rumored to haunt the house. And as far as I remember, the girl, the younger girl, she became like feeling like she had a bond with this man who was part of the house. And I think the dad became kind of abusive one night and started like grabbing her and whipping her around, and he was gonna like hit her, as I recall, and I'm just paraphrasing this, but at that point he drew back like he was gonna punch her, and suddenly something grabbed the guy from the back and threw him across the living room, and he like slammed onto the coffee table. And he of course became terrified and left, and I think they ended up getting divorced. But it was just like, wow, isn't that cool? Somebody stood up,
Right.
and helped, was somebody that desperately needed it, and that was really cool.
You read another story, but maybe 2 months ago, talking about how the boy's father had gone nuts and killed the entire family, and he was going after the boy, and they found the boy in like the alley behind a garbage can.
with bullet holes all around him.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
And the boy said that
It was
his
an angel.
father came out and was pointing the gun at him, but an angel came down and protected him.
Yep.
So
Tried to shoot him.
Yeah,
and
tried to shoot
There were
him.
bullet holes all around the child, but the child was unhurt.
unhurt, yeah.
Yep. And I
unharmed.
think didn't the dad kill himself then or something?
Yeah,
like that?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
So
That's
he-
how they found him, eventually. So
Yeah. Now it's
crazy.
sad that only one of them survived, and of course that's got to be a hell of a piece of luggage to carry through your life, knowing that happened by someone that's supposed to love and protect you.
Right.
That's so tragic. But I think that at least he was spared. But
Right.
it is a really sad story, D. You're right. But those are the tough ones, but at least it's too bad that angel couldn't have stepped in and just got the dad to take care of himself
Like,
right away.
got that tweak in the head fixed.
I will never understand that. It's like, if at any point you feel like life is getting too hard, don't go and hurt a bunch of people.
Yeah.
If you got to take yourself out, more power to you, but don't go after people. Just random people and try to hurt, or even not random people. Just don't hurt others. Just if you have to do some hurting, just hurt yourself. I don't understand that. It's like, my God. Ugh, such twisted psyches out there.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not the vibe we want to roll with. Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Not any night, really. So, we don't want to be sad. Let's get happy. Here's a good one, I hope.
I love how you preface.
Well, I need you guys to know that I don't read any of these before the show. I mean, I just find some stories and put them in a bunch of tabs, and then when I get on the air, I read them. But I like. Is that you breathing?
I'm sorry. I yawned.
Oh,
I'm
you're
sorry.
yawning?
I yawned.
What the hell, dude? Ain't interesting enough for you, huh?
No, that's not it. It's been a long day.
It has, I know. But I read them with you guys. I like to go through these stories with you. And that's probably stupid on my part, but I just think it's cool to learn these stories and to hear them as if I'm hearing them with all of you.
Well, and it's a genuine, reaction,
Right.
It's like, oh, God.
Right.
Because
You're
how
not-
many times have you been reading or I've been reading, we both just look up and go,
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah. When a story just takes a real
Yeah.
bad turn, it's like, oh,
or even a
God.
really good turn.
Well, yeah, those are
Yeah.
really cool too. But unfortunately, it seems to be the other way around usually. All right, let's read this one and see what kind of reaction we're all going to have. I must be looking for lights because look, now I got all kinds of lights on this ad.
Oh, maybe it's showing you a clue.
Google is telling me to embrace the light. That's what this is, Don.
Oh, that's why they're showing me pictures of lamps.
That's what Google's trying to do. Google's becoming. They should change it to Guru instead.
Guru.
Showing me lamps, ladies and gentlemen. Google is trying to enlighten me.
Oh boy, gonna need more lamps than that. I got a couple 135-watt light bulbs.
Well, there you go. Put one in each ear. And
Settle down, Uncle Fester.
all right. At one point in my life, I've said I don't believe in ghosts. Well, I will never say that again based on my experiences. If you care, here is how my story started. Wow, that was a good intro. One day, my friend and I were on the internet and saw this random ghost proof video. And now that I look back on the video, it was totally fake, but that was not what got us into ghosts. So we went to the park and get our minds off of the shocking evidence we had just found of ghosts, and we went to the baseball field, and she walked up the stairs to the room where the announcers sit, or something like that, and she said she saw a child in a floral shirt wearing glasses, but that was really all she could see of her. And I went to the park every weekend in summer with my best friend, and gradually we almost stopped going to the park because fall was coming and the cool Wisconsin wind blew hard almost every day. One day we randomly decided to go to the park, and that is when I decided, hey, no one's here. I've been watching these ghost hunting videos. Let's find a ghost. It'll be fun, they said. It wasn't exactly fun, but I know I will never forget it. We asked for a sign of their presence, and suddenly the wind drastically picked up speed. And at that point, I didn't think anything actually happened, but then we moved on to asking other signs, such as I asked them to come with me across the park. I guess it did because I whispered to them to hold my friend's hands in a ball and do not let go until I asked. Even so, I couldn't open them. I came back to her and she was yelling at me, "What did you do? What did you do? I can't open my hands. They're in fists. Help. I tried to open them and I can't." And then I remembered and whispered, "Okay, that's enough." And her hands opened. We then returned to my house. The next morning, I woke up, ate breakfast, and walked to the doorway in my room. It was empty, as usual, and I didn't share a room. So, for some reason, I just stopped at my doorway and examined my room, and I started looking to the left, and I saw my blinds moving as if someone was running their fingers down them. I gasped, and then it stopped. It was not my imagination. During the middle of winter, she invited me over to clean. How fun, I know, but everything we did together was fun. We just had finished when I was running down the hallway. I knew she wasn't there, but her little dog was chasing me, so I went directly to her room, and something was moving that caught my eye. The water in her glass was swirling. Once again, I gasped, and it slowed down. Nothing really happened for a while until the next spring, and I went to her house to play DDR. What's DDR? Dungeons and Dragons?
Dance Revolution.
Oh, Dance Revolution. Okay. All right. We then started playing GameCube, and her dad offered to hook it up upstairs since we were downstairs. Then he left us home alone. We were in the living room playing a racing game, and I was losing as usual. Then she told me she felt a tug on her hair. Later, I felt it, and we asked for a sign of their presence. And then I turned around because I heard something, and I saw a floating black mist type of figure. I was totally freaked out. But like 10 minutes later, we went on with the game as if nothing happened. She got scared, but I was not. I was excited. I have so many little things happen, and I tried to put them in the correct times, but I'm not sure how correct it is. Do you think I experienced a ghost? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if you experienced a ghost or not. Do you think you experienced a ghost? I guess is the better question.
Nothing like being knocked down, walking down a hallway and being knocked down and drugged by a ghost.
Well, that's true. That's a creepy video,
Wake
isn't
up,
it?
we're here. Yeah, it was, but it was one of those ones I really questioned. That's when we got into the discussion about energy and mass.
Sure.
So, yeah.
They can take up mass. Well, I mean, just think about it. When we talked about the last story or the story before that, there was the person saw the rocking chair moving.
Right.
And not only was it moving, but just could see the depression in the chair as if someone was sitting there.
Right.
And how many stories have we covered where people can see the depression on the bed where they believe a spirit is sitting down? Now, why is that? I don't know if they have weight, if they want to have weight, or is it just a representation of their body because they want to give you a sign? Is it, what is going on here?
Right.
But, I'm just saying there's something to that because they do seem to be able to demonstrate weight. When people are being held down, they can feel hands holding their wrists and stuff.
Right.
They feel it as if it's tangible fingers. They get bruising as if it's tangible fingers as well. So that denotes some kind of form. But is that just a temporary thing, or do they have a form? I don't know. This is kind of stuff that I'm curious about. Or can they just change their form? That seems the most probable to me, that they can just change their energy field to whatever shape or form they want to.
Right.
But I don't know. It's strange that if they are sitting on a chair that they would leave an impression, because allegedly they're just energy. So energy shouldn't really have a weight. But again, I don't know. These are the X factors. These are the unknown things that I guess none of us will ever really know, but until our time comes, then I guess we'll know a lot.
Just to let you know, Hacker says he sent an email, but Hacker, just to let you know, we may have gotten the email, we haven't looked, but we usually like to read those on network nights.
Yeah.
So thousands can hear your story.
Yeah, we'd rather share the stories, and what Don's saying is correct. And the reason being is that I like when we're plugged into the network on Friday and Saturday nights, when we're plugged into TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live on the Friday, Saturday shows. You know, of course, we have a much broader audience, and I like to share those gems for them, if you don't mind. But let me just take a look and see what this says.
Or did he just send it? Oh, he sent a recipe.
Oh, it's a recipe. Nice. It says, okay, so did you want to be?
Oh, Gibson, yeah.
Oh, cool. Very cool. All right. I would love to have one of these, but what is a cocktail onion?
It's just a little pearl onion.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Little pearl onion.
Frequented in New York.
So do you want this given out? Does he want us to give it out to the chat or what?
Well, we'll read what it says.
It says, Mark, a regular from England who frequented a New York bar and still gets warm feelings at the bartenders, they say, with his favorite drink in hand.
There must be more. There is. There's more.
Where?
Maybe not. I don't know. We'll have to dissect that.
It says paranormal cocktail number 2, though. Is there?
Oh, yeah. So he made another one. Oh, so this was the favorite drink. Is that what you're saying? We're gonna have to figure that out.
So Mark is a regular from England who frequented a New York bar and still gets warm feelings at the bartenders. And they say with his favorite drink in hand, and near his Manchester United scarf, his drink is the Gibson.
Gibsons are good.
Are they? Yeah, I don't think I've ever had one, but sounds good just by reading it. But yeah.
Do you see the 3 little dots underneath?
Right, but that's a show trim content.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Always do right. This will gratify some people and astonish the rest.
Huh.
So that's just a little tag at the end. So no, I'm not missing anything. I don't think. What is he saying in the chat?
Oh, Mark is a ghost.
Oh.
The bartenders get warm feelings from his ghost when they have a Gibson in hand, because it was Mark's favorite drink.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Okay, very cool. All right, now I understand. That makes a lot more sense.
It's one of those aha moments.
Aha.
Aha.
Mark's favorite drink. Yes.
Gibsons
the bartenders
are
get
good.
warm feelings
I
from his
love
ghost.
pickled onions.
Pickled onions?
Yeah.
Is that what a cocktail onion is?
It's
pickled?
it's a pickled pearl onion.
Oh, that actually sounds like it'd be pretty tasty.
Yes, they are.
I bet they are. Probably good for you, too. Just saying.
Keeps the peoples away.
It keeps personal space sacred. All right. This is my mother's story, but she's told it to me over and over, so I know it really well. And this took place in Mulberry Grove, Illinois. My mother was named after her grandmother and loved her very much. She was my great-grandmother, obviously, though I never knew her. And this happened before I was born. While Mom was in high school, great-grandma became very ill, with a tumor in her abdomen. This happened in the 1930s when medicine was not so advanced, so basically they just called it a lump. It may have been cancer, and every day my mom would rush home from school to take care of Grandma, smooth her pillow, give her a drink of water, and sit with her. Great-grandma was always being cared for in my mom's bed and in the home of one of her daughters, and there were 6 of them, since she was so sick. Eventually, great-grandmother died, of course, and after a couple of days, my mom began to sleep in her own bed again, and the one great-grandmother had died in. One morning she awoke and saw great-grandma floating in the room above the floor with her hand on her belly, and she spoke and said, "See, Evie, the lump is gone, and I feel so much better now." Then she disappeared. Evelina was the name of both of them. My mother is still alive and as sharp as 2 tacks at the age of 86, and would tell me the same story in a heartbeat if I asked her about it. And no, she's not flaky or prone to a lot of visions in general. That's a wonderful story. Those are the greatest stories, because it's, when mourning a death, what better healing than to see the person manifest and go, "Hey, I'm good. Everything's fine. Take care of business, and I'll see you sometime." I mean, that would be like the end of herding.
Yeah, exactly.
Be like, oh, okay, well, they're okay, and then you can just pretend they're on their trip because they're on a trip. They're just traveling.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think that would be that. I recommend that to all spirits when you pass, to go visit your loved ones that are mourning and let them know you're fine. It's definitely a cathartic experience. Right, Don?
You know,
What?
yeah, no, it would be interesting, your final trip to be, around to either haunt or, you know, relieve, your family and friends. You can tell your worst enemy, ha ha ha, I got here first. Depending on the situation, I suppose. Or
You go tell your worst enemy, yes, I checked, and they're saving you a seat by the furnace.
you got a one-way bus trip into hell.
Yeah.
Or go in and let people know, hey, things are cool, all's good here.
I think that'd be great.
Like the Whirlwind World Tour,
Yeah.
And Don as he flies by. How you doing? I'm good.
Just leave some beard hair.
Or just see me in the back of the bus going, oh my God.
Yeah. Don's stuck on the bus. Some random bus somewhere. Don will just be stuck. Moving bottle caps around.
I want to go to my final piece like my uncle, peaceful and asleep. Unlike the people in his bus when he was
Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh, no. That's horrible.
Oh, Don.
Just saying.
Yes.
Oh, we have 29 likes and 29 people watching right now.
Wow, 29 of you.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to all 29 of you, and thank you for sharing tonight's journey with us as we are nearing the end. I suppose we could probably share one more. What do you think, Don?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Why not one more?
Yeah, one more. Make it a happy one.
I'm just picking them as I open them, so hopefully this is happy. Hello, my name is Brittany, and I'm telling you about a frightening ghost encounter. Probably not going to be happy, Don.
Oh, well.
I had at my dad's house when I was 10. I was at my dad's house and I was sleeping, but I woke up in the middle of the night because I really had to go to the bathroom really bad. And I was scared to get up because of other encounters at my dad's house, and yes, more than one. And I heard my stepmom get up and go to the bathroom, so at least I felt safe. And right after she was done, I went, and then I came back, relieved, believe me, and climbed up into my bed, bunk beds. And it was hot because it was summer, so I covered up with one small thin blanket. And I had this weird feeling that I'd had more than once. And I looked down, and there was this lady in the middle of my room walking around in circles like she was trying to get away from something or someone and didn't know what to do. I was so scared I put my head under my blanket and said a little prayer, and then I heard someone coming up my bunk bed ladder because it wasn't bolted in, and it shook when you walked on it. And for a split second, I was so cold that I had to get under my blanket. Boy, I was scared. Well, there you go. That would be horrible. You're already ducked under your covers and something's coming up your ladder. Again, I don't know. I'd want to see it. I'm not big on the whole let's hide our face and things get closer to me.
That's like denying, it's not there, it's not there, it's not there.
I don't know what it is. It's like
it slaps you around, pulls you by the hair.
It's a desperation move. There. It's just your hand.
Oh, God.
Don's alien hand. But wow. I don't understand that. It's just got to be just a desperation move. Like, I can't see anything. I can't look. So
I can't see you, you can't see me.
Right. I don't know.
It's not happening.
You're out of reality. No more reality. So that about wraps up our journey tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Paranormal Portal. And I hope if you're not already subscribed that you will subscribe by clicking the subscribe down there. And then ring the bell. Click the bell thing so that you get notified. Yes. I'm hearing from more and more people that they're not getting notifications. You're my minion. He's still awake. He's all kinds of awake. But
you hearing from more and more people about the subscription?
No, not the subscription. The notifications
bell not working.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So, It happens, and I don't know why, but apparently YouTube's got a quirk where it'll unring the bell. So just check and make sure it's rung so you get your notifications. So
Yeah.
everybody, we love you all.
Ring the bell. Ring the bell.
We love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. And we will see you on tomorrow night for some more bedtime stories from beyond. And then on Friday night, we are joined by Mr. Jeffrey Seelman, who will be joining us here on the portal.
Gosh, I wish.
I'm telling you, you should be here.
I'm feeling sick on Friday.
Jeffrey's a pretty amazing guy. I only had the pleasure of talking with him on the one show, but he and I talk now on Skype, and we get along fantastically. But just a really wonderful guy, a lot of insight. He is an exorcist and a spiritual teacher, and just an amazing guy. He does
He
a
has
lot
a
of...
black cat named Knight. Is that his cat's name, Knight?
I don't know.
He has a black cat. It's awesome.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, but he's just a really neat guy. So he'll be on Friday's show, and then we will be having Miss Robin Moonshadow on Saturday's show. So make sure you guys come and check them out. It'll be great fun. So take care, everybody. Hell's House Paranormal, how you doing? Good to see you. I don't think I've ever seen you before.
Not here yet.
Welcome to the show, and I'm sorry we're done. Did you just get here?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, sorry, brother, or sister. I don't know what you are, but thanks so much for finding us and checking us out. I hope you. Lady says you're 2 hours late. So come back tomorrow. I'll be doing the bedtime stories from beyond, the shorter edition shows, and then again Friday, Saturday night when we're doing the network shows, and then you can call in and be a part of those shows on Friday, Saturday. So the phone number's on your screen. So anyway, guys, take care. Have a great Thursday, and we'll see you soon.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. And sleep well. Sorry, that's all the sound effects I could afford. See ya.